Hello, folks. Welcome to this week's edition of the Satori Traders Precious Metals News. This week I am going to split the videos. We're going to focus on mining stocks in this video, and then I'll come back and I'll do the market roundup in a separate video. So I had somebody in the comment section ask me to look at Gatos silver. And so we're going to do that. Folks, you're always welcome. Ask me to look at a mining stock, ask me questions, whatever in the comment sections. I'd love to get feedback and respond to people. I care about what you're interested in. So, always just ask me. I don't pull any punches. So, if you ask me for feedback and it's not positive, just understand that I'm going to give you feedback regardless of what it is. So Gatos silver, there were a couple of things that just, right out they caught my attention. So clearly we've got no data prior to, what is that, late October of 20. And so right off the bat, we know that this company IPO'd or, listed, whatever. It came on to, this is CBOE, so it came on to the U.S. markets in late 20. And notice also that it listed at $6. And just for everyone's operational awareness, in the U.S. markets at $5 a share, there's a threshold where institutional investors typically can't buy shares that are under that $5 a share mark, and it varies from institution to institution. It could be $10 at one place, $15 at another, but in general, institutional buyers aren't buying below the $5 a share point. So interesting that they listed at $6 a share. Take that for what it's worth. That's the weekly time frame. So if we look from a technical perspective, so this is accumulation distribution. It's kind of, my interpretation of this particular indicator is, are investors currently interested in this stock or not? And so again, this stock came out, late 2020. And what I notice here is that in general, investors have been divesting themselves of this stock since its inception. Investors are not interested in holding this stock. And so, at this point, I don't know 2 cents about this stock, but I can look at the chart and see that for some reason, investors are not hanging on to this stock. And we could go out and look at examples where, accumulation distribution indicator does not look like this for a stock. And so that catches my attention, energy elevated but dropping, MACD giving us a sell signal. That's the weekly time frame. Let's just out of curiosity, we'll drop down. This is the daily time frame. And, notice, my eye immediately focuses in on that big burst of selling. And it's never a good thing in a stock when we see, selling volume increase as price decreases. So that's not a bullish thing in my mind. Here again, we get another look at the accumulation distribution, and, my estimation, people have just been bailing on this stock right and left since it was listed. So that kind of raises alarm bells in my mind. MACD, so, I've said this numerous times, MACD is not a bounded indicator. It can go from, positive infinity to a negative infinity. But what tends to happen is that there's a ranging effect in MACD. And so we can see here, this was the last low. MACD's way down here. We're potentially at a low point. MACD's back down at this low level. So we could potentially be at a good place to turn up here. Energy's in the tank, but potentially turning up. If we were to pursue that bullish thought, we'd throw we wouldn't do that. We'd throw an Andrews pitchfork on this chart, and we would look at something like, and let's go to the original fork. let's make it a different color so it's easier to see. And so, we might look at something like that as a, bullish uptrend potentially. And I always prefer to look at mod shifts a little bit more conservative. And so if we look at the mod shift pitchfork, we might say that our next price target is up here at the 1650, the 50-day moving average. Yes, 50-day moving average. But again, all in all, I'm not terribly excited about this stock, Gatos Silver. So what I always do when I'm looking at a new mining stock, I go out to their website, and typically the structure that most of the mining companies follow, and I'm not saying that there's a right or a wrong style or format for a mining company's website, but in general, they all kind of do the same thing. And that same thing is I'd go to the investors tab and I would find the company's latest presentations. And so we see here latest events and presentations. And so maybe this is just a titling thing. It's not a presentation, it's an earnings call. And frankly, as an investor, I don't care about your earnings call. So you got a bunch of people on the phone call and you want to blow smoke up their ass. I'm not really interested in participating, but that's just me. It's what is your presentation? Now, perhaps this is just a naming thing, and this really is their presentation. They're just calling it an earnings call. So, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'll go look at it. Here they're talking about their new drilling program. Highlights, this is what we're doing, solid start. So they are telling us about their operational effects, what's going on out there in the field. And so, we can dig into that. And, in truth, folks, I haven't looked in depth at what is this company really up to. And just maybe it was the mood I was in at the time, but I went to their website and was looking for a presentation, and what I saw was what looked like earnings. It looked like they were trying to get me excited about their earnings call, and I really wasn't. So the next step, what I typically do when I'm looking at a new mining company is that it's like, okay, let's go look at the management board. So, there's at least two aspects of a mining company. We got the land package, do they have any precious metals in the ground? That's their land package. And then we have the people involved. And, you could talk about which is more important. Obviously, they're both important, but, probably more important than the land package is the people involved. And so the next thing I want to look at when I'm investigating a mining company is the management company. I always start with the CEO. And so, here we go out, Stephen Orr. So CEO at Sunshine Silver Mines. Well, now, wait a minute. We're looking at Gatos Silver. What's this with Sunshine Silver? So, okay, I'm a little bit confused at this point. What are these people up to out in the industry? Let me keep rolling. One of the things that Gatos Silver is claiming is that they have a new silver district. And so, folks, I'm a born cynic. And so my reaction to the idea of, okay, there's a new silver district in Mexico. Well, we've been mining silver in Mexico since at least 1521. What is that? 500 years? So 500 years of mining silver in Mexico, and now we've got a new silver district. So color me a little bit skeptical, but that is what it is. And I want to be very clear at this, folks. Now, I'm not talking about Gatos Silver in particular at this point, but when I was asked to look at Gatos Silver, this is what came up for me, and I try to respect my intuition. There are 2,000 or more mining stocks in the precious metals sector. Way too many stocks for us to, individually look at every stock. And so, I tried to rely on rule of thumb and my intuition, my gut. What is my assessment of this mining company? And so when I was asked to look at Gatos Silver, this came to mind, and I'm a Texan. This is kind of a saying that we have in Texas about, people who look like cowboys and, stereotypically they look like flashy cowboys. It's the 10-gallon hat and the vest with the sequins and the flashy boots and the pistol, the revolvers with the pearl handles and everything. They look like cowboys, but they ain't got any cattle. They're not really cowboys. And so that came to mind. And then, this video, if you about 6 seconds. And so that's the Three Amigos. That's a Steve Martin movie. I love Steve Martin. And that's kind of the all hat, no cattle. There's no background. And again, I'm not referring specifically to Gatos Silver at all. Don't mistake me on this point. What I want to share with you is an example. I went through a stage in my precious metals growth of going out and looking corporate filings, not the presentation that the companies share on their website, but what do they file with the government, the SEC? This is kind of like, okay, this is the bullshit that we tell our investors, and then this is what we file with the SEC and the IRS. And so I made a point of digging into the corporate filings with the SEC. And so one of the companies that I investigated, and it was not Gatos Silver. I'm not going to provide the company's name because it doesn't matter. I'm providing this as an example of the games that are played in the corporate world. And it doesn't matter what sector it is, precious metals, energy, tech, whatever, biotech, there are a lot of games played in the corporate world. They're legal. We might not like it as investors, but there's really very little we can do about it. And so this is one of the companies that I looked at. And again, I was going out and I was looking at what are they filing with the SEC. And so here was the original company, and it was a mining company in the precious metals sector. And so in year one, they did a spinoff. And it's like, okay, as an investor, I don't have a problem with that. You want to go off and you do a spinoff. This company was precious metals. This company was, and so the spinoff made some sense. And this is how they presented it. It's like, okay, we're going to focus on precious metals over here. We're going to focus on energy over here. All right, I'm with you. All right, and so now I dig into each of these companies. Well, actually, I dug into the spinoff in year one, and one of the first things I noticed is that all of the principles of these two corporations were the same. It was the same. The only difference that I could tell between the original corporation and the spinoff is that one or two of the board members were different. And if you went off and looked at Canadian, of course, most mining corporations are Canadian. If you went off and looked at Canadian corporate law, I'm guessing that you would find one of the things that is mandated or required of a spinoff is that the board of directors has to be different in at least two positions. And so in this case, that's exactly what we found, is that we had two different board members that were different between these two corporations, but nothing else. All of the same principles, all of the same board of directors, except for the mandatory two, or it may have only been one. Another thing I noticed is like, okay, I'm looking at the spinoff. It's like, wait a minute. Okay, there's their corporate headquarters, their address. And it's like, well, that address looks familiar. Where have I seen that address before? Well, sure enough, it's the same address as the headquarters or the original corporation. So the original corporation and the spinoff company, they're sitting in the same physical location. Yeah, okay. So same people sitting in the same location, and then I'm digging through, it's like, okay, here's their expense report. Well, now, isn't this interesting? So the spinoff corporation is paid $17,000 a month rent to the original corporation for office space. So get this, folks. So this is a spinoff corporation, only it's the same damn people occupying the same space, the same physical space, and yet the spinoff is paying $17,000 a month to occupy the same space that these folks are occupying. And so, it's just, that's a little bit mind-boggling to me. Legal, again, nothing illegal there, but just it is what it is, okay? And then so I got over that and I continue looking at, okay, and here in spinoff, this is the spinoff corp in year 2, and I start to notice it's like, well, they're writing down, they're taking the tax advantages of writing down assets in the spinoff corporation, and then same thing in year 3, again, they're writing down, taking tax write-offs against assets, and then here in year 3, the original corporation reconsolidates the spinoff, and they do a 10-to-1, reverse consolidation. All of the major players get compensated with shares of stock and money, and I'm guessing that the CEO in the course of this 3-4 year period, he got direct compensation of, $4 to $5 million, and then picked up several 100,000 shares of the original corporation. And so again, nothing, I can't take exception to this, and I understand that, corporate games are what, everybody plays these games, some of them more so than others. And I'm not saying that that's what's going on with Gatos Silver. I'm just sharing with you that was my initial take on this company and what did I think of it. And I try to trust my intuition these days, and that's what I'm sharing with you there about Gatos Silver. That's my intuition. Apologize, I'm going way too long here, folks. I was also asked to look at Eli Gold. We're in the weekly time frame. Eli Gold looking really good here in the weekly time frame. We can see MACD is up in bull mode, suggesting that the primary trend is upward. Notice that super bullish spike in volume on a big spike in price. So, there's price jumping off of the 40-week moving average at, that's 87 cents or so, and then popping all the way up to $1.12. So what we get, 30 cents, about 30 cents of a gain. Now it looks like we're getting kind of a pullback to or could be a support level. Looks like price is respecting this as support. Let me throw a quick trend line on there. We might look at something like that as being support, and of course the median line of that modified shift pitchfork. So Eli is looking real good. I was asked in the comment section by a subscriber to take a look at this, and he pointed out that Gold Royalty Company, GROY or GROY on the CBO. So this is a U.S. listed gold royalty company. They have purchased Eli Royalty, and this is I have a significant holding in Eli, and I've always been pleased with Eli. One of the things in particular I like about this company is that they are focused on Nevada. And so as American investors in the precious metals sector, ideally we would invest in mining companies focused on, mining in the U.S. That just makes sense. And so Eli Gold, that's exactly what they're doing. They're are not only focused on the U.S., they're focused on Nevada, which is a historically friendly state to do business in. I've always had a warm fuzzy about Eli Gold. It is a non-trivial position in my portfolio. They have now been acquired by Gold Royalty Corporation. GROY has a wider portfolio. They are focused on the Americas, North and South America. So, now we have a broader base of assets. We're still in the Americas, and so we're still in tier 1 mining jurisdictions, which, that's a good thing. The real positive for me is that now my investment in Eli, which for me, I bought it over the counter, now it is a U.S. listed stock where we have a wider base of investors who are able to access and invest their money into the stock. That's a quick look at GROY, Gold Royalty Corporation, and Eli. You can see here we're in the daily time frame, potentially some bottoming action in MACD. The histogram certainly is suggesting that we're bottoming and potentially turning up. Same thing in stochastics. Energy's down here in the basement, but potentially rising. We've dropped down below. We could probably look at where's our $5, as a round number. There's our $5 level. Let's just throw a vertical. We don't want a vertical. We want a horizontal line. So we just throw a horizontal line in there, kind of at the, we're in at $5. We're in there somewhere. So price is kind of looking for support in the $5 range and still trying to digest this acquisition of Eli is new. And so the two companies are joining forces. We'll see what they're able to do going forward. So this is, if we go out on the web and we're looking for information about the companies, what are they up to? That's some of what we'll find. I found this interesting. So what are the benefits to Eli? And so that was the position that I was in. I'm an Eli shareholder. What did I get? Well, so I got a 42% premium on the value of my shares. And so I can't complain about that. Let's keep rolling here, folks. Gold monthly time frame. We've looked at this. We're finishing out that shoulder of the head and shoulders pattern. In the weekly time frame, we got price dealing with resistance, trying to push up higher into that resistance level. Same thing in the daily time frame, pushing into resistance off a potential support level. In silver monthly, no big thing. Nothing's changed here for several weeks. Still looking at the $40 as a target in silver. Currently in the weekly time frame, we've dropped a little bit below the 40-week moving average. Potential divergence between MACD and price. In the daily time frame, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist or anything. I don't want to say that the powers that be or the central bankers went out next to gold. But like I pointed out midweek, if you and I were charged with managing the precious metals, we would focus most of our energy on the silver market because it is small. And if we can break the back of sentiment in silver, we'll have effect in the gold market. And so I suspect that that's what we're seeing here is that the people that manage the price of the precious metals, that was their latest attack on silver. They managed to push it down below the support level, and now we've got price. Because the underlying trend is upwards, in my opinion, because of all the massive money printing the central banks are doing, silver should be at $180 an ounce right now. It's being suppressed, but the underlying trend is upwards. We can see that price is trying to push higher into that resistance level. we're just quick look at a couple of charts. We've looked at Ethos Gold. This is the weekly time frame. We got price popping higher, pushing up into resistance. Here in, this is Lion 1, not exciting again, but again, Lion 1's got the goods. This is one of my major holdings, and I'm not bailing on Lion 1. I'm also a holder in Dolly Varden, obviously not exciting. Pull back to a potential support level, spike in selling volume. That's never bullish. We don't want to see volume spike when price is dropping. Endeavor, we were in an uptrend. Now we got a pullback. Daily time frame, price is dealing with resistance now because we've dropped below the 200-day moving average. That is now resistance that has to be overcome. What do we got next? Newfound Gold. So Newfound Gold, they definitely have the goods. They're working on a U.S. listing, which ought to be coming here soon. Big spike up into, that was $12, and now we're, pullback, 62% Fibonacci pullback, $7, potential support level, and then a bounce higher from here. That would be my guess for Newfound. What's next? Altamira, this is a penny stock, 21 cents. Pull back to a obvious support resistance level. This is daily time frame, 200-day moving average, potential support level there. And so in contrast, what I, remember back to Gatos silver, what I was showing with accumulation distribution, where, in Gatos, investors have been steadily bailing on that stock since its inception, since it was listed. Here in Altamira, well, investors have been steadily accumulating this stock, and despite this pullback in price, they are sticking with this stock. They are not bailing on the stock. And so just a contrast, take it for what it's worth. I'm not making judgment calls here, just making observations. There is a difference between Gatos silver and Altamira gold in the accumulation distribution indicator. Alexco, so, this is our monthly. I backed all the way out to the monthly time frame. We've got a potential support resistance zone. Price is maybe dropping below that level, which is not a positive. This is certainly not a positive. If we're looking, like I was just saying, accumulation distribution, this is monthly time frame. And what we can see is that, investors have been bailing on this stock for years. One of the things in defense of Alexco is that it's a somewhat complicated story. The casual investor, if they don't dig in to Alexco and understand what's going on here, they might not stick around for long. Alexco has a background in remediating in environmentally compromised land packages. And so the BC, British Columbian government, basically gifted a land package to Alexco because of their ground in remediating contaminated areas. And this land package is a historic silver district. So, Alexco has requirements for remediating the environmental issues in this district, but they also got a sweetheart deal on this land package, but you got to dig into the story to understand what's going on here. And I would guess that based on this accumulation distribution, investors are lazy and they don't understand the story at Alexco. SK, so now we're $2 a share. This is another Quentin Henney company, investors hanging out, nothing really exciting going on. B2 Gold, we've talked about, the last time I really looked at this in a video, I was bullish, expecting that this this movement, this upward price movement, would take us back up to $6. Well, clearly that hasn't happened. We're down here at, 4 and, looks like we've got a potential support down here at this $4 round number in there somewhere. But, clearly that's not bullish action in B2 gold. Where are they mining? They're in is it Bolivia? They are in a mining jurisdiction that is not a first choice. If we're looking at where do we want to invest our money, the mining district that B2 Gold is in would not be our first choice. So Oloro, folks, I'm way too long this week. Let me just, one last point. This is monthly Oloro. Look at accumulation distribution, folks. Clearly investors are accumulating this stock. MACD's in bull mode, primary trend upward, elevated energy, volume is bullish. This is just a good looking stock in contrast to, and I don't want to bash Gatos silver. I just want to, show the difference between this company and some of the other stuff that we've looked at, because I feel like those differences are important. That's all I'm going to babble about the mining stocks this morning. I hope I've provided some value, and I'll be back with a overview